Good evening and welcome to our November 25th, 2014 Ogden City Council meeting. Let the roll call reflect that all council members are present with the exceptions of Councilmember Blair, who is absent and excused because of a death in the family, and our hearts and prayers go out to he and his family at this time of trial for them. Turn the time to Vice Chair Gochner for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please rise and join us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Please join us for a moment of silence. Thank you. The next item on our agenda is common consent items. We have 3 items on our common consent agenda tonight.
I will go ahead and make a motion that we adopt item A to set the public hearing for December 9th, 2014, and item B to set the public hearing for December 9th, 2014, and item C to approve the Christmas Village appointments.
We have a motion to approve all 3 common consent items and to set the public hearings for December 9th by Vice Chair Gochner, seconded by Councilmember Garner. And this is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? That passes. Next item is new business, council norms and rules of procedure. And we'll turn the time to Mr. Cook to introduce that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. From time to time, generally about twice a year, the council considers changes to their council norms and rules of procedure. Tonight you have proposed amendments for both. Within the staff review, it identifies all of the specifics. Just for the record, there are a number of numerical changes. We've added a scoping document for establishment of new projects for the council and a process for determining expectations regarding that. Also updated the council staff expectations based on a presentation that was given earlier to the Citizens Academy. We've added some language regarding mileage reimbursement for council members and council staff that do not receive a mileage or a car allowance, that any mileage outside of the city limits would be reimbursed, and that's a change of policy. Some other minor clarifications as well. Be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Any questions for Mr. Cook?
The effective date?
The effective date is tonight, if you pass it.
Assuming you pass it.
Point taken.
Any other questions? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I will make a motion that we adopt the proposed resolution 2014-19.
I second it.
I have a motion by Councilmember Garner, seconded by Councilmember Stevens, to adopt ordinance 2014-19. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Garner.
Aye.
Councilmember Stevens.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Councilmember Wicks.
Aye.
Vice Chair Gochner.
Aye.
Chair Heyer.
Aye. That passes unanimous. Next item on our agenda is public comments. This is an opportunity to address the council regarding your concerns or ideas. Please state your name and address clearly for the record and limit your comments to 3 minutes. Since there's not a rush to the podium, Mayor, comments from?
I do have a couple of quick comments. I would like to offer my condolences to the Blair family. That's a heartbreaking loss. We have a big week. I'd like to certainly welcome everyone out to Christmas Village. I think it's going to be amazing. Again, Jay just left, but I'd like to thank he and his crew. They've been out there in every bit of weather working to put that together. They've done a great job. I'd like to wish you all an enjoyable warm holiday with friends and family. This is one of our family's favorites. And then I'd also like to add my gratitude to all of our public safety people and those that are serving. They'll be out protecting everyone and on call the entire weekend, spending time away from their families. And I think that's not often recognized enough, certainly in light of some of the things that have happened. So I'd like to, again, thank all of you all for what you do and for allowing us the opportunity to spend that safe, warm, quiet time with our friends and family.
Thank you. Council members, any comments?
Yeah, I went to the Wildcat Choice Awards today. Weber State recognized Lucky Slice as a fun place to be, and so that was fun. Got to see Waldo, and it was just neat.
Were they very surprised? The presentation?
I'm not sure how surprised they were. It was very hard to not be that surprised just because we were all standing out in front of there.
Okay. All right.
But that's a neat thing that they do.
It is a neat thing. Any other comments?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion, Vice Chair Gochner to adjourn, seconded by Councilmember Wicks. All in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Just as a reminder, there will be a special redevelopment agency meeting immediately following this meeting, and a city council work session will be following the redevelopment agency meeting. Ready to go? Not yet, huh? It isn't the record, though.
No.
It's close. Good evening and welcome to our November 25th, 2014 special redevelopment agency meeting. Let the roll call reflect that all board members are present, with the exceptions of Board Member Blair, who is excused from tonight's meeting due to a death in the family, and we'd like to extend our heartfelt condolences and our prayers go out to the Blair family. First item on our agenda is approval of the minutes. The first minutes are the regular meeting of April 8th, 2014, and the special meeting of June 3rd, 2014, and closed a session of June 3rd, 2014. Board Member Wicks.
Thank you, Chair Heyer. I have reviewed those minutes and found them to be accurate.
Thank you. And for the special meeting of July 1st, 2014, Board Member White.
Yes, Chair Heyer, I've reviewed those and found them to be correct.
And for the work session of August 26th, 2014, Board Member Garner.
Yes, Chair Heyer, I've reviewed those minutes and found them to be correct.
And finally, the special meeting of September 2nd, 2014, Board Member Stevens.
Yes, Mr. Chair, and they're correct, and I make a motion that we accept the minutes that have been presented to us this evening.
Second.
Have a motion to approve the minutes from Board Member Stevens, seconded by Board Member Garner. This is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next item is reports from the administration. Easement agreements, electric alley parking area. Mr. Montgomery.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, I had Amy Sue download this, but I thought, well, maybe Mr. Johnson might remember in his Planning Commission days the Ray McCandless version of items. And I heard you talk about records, so I ought to just say, is there any questions? I know for the record that one of the things we need to talk about is this agreement that's being proposed tonight between the RDA board and the hotel on the property that's commonly referred to as Electric Alley. And over 30 years, we've had an agreement between the RDA and the hotel for the reciprocal access and parking of these spaces between the two structures, the hotel and the rear of 25th Street between Lincoln and Grand Avenue. That agreement expired last year, and as we try to negotiate and the ownerships have changed on the hotel a couple times, we're finally at a point where we can enter into a new agreement with the hotel owners at this point for the reciprocal access and parking for the area back between the two spaces. I just quickly want to run through what we're talking about. The past agreement covered the areas in red and green, and that's only a portion of the parking on the hotel block, but these are the only areas we're talking about in this agreement. When that agreement expired, with it expired the ideas of shared access, of shared maintenance, of certain conditions, of hours of parking stalls available, that the fact the hotel was responsible for all maintenance of that facility, and that it was agreed that there would be no obstructions or barricades to the circulation patterns between the two properties where the parking lots were developed. Those have now expired. So we are at a point now of creating the new agreement, and we've shifted the agreement somewhat in terms of the areas being discussed. The area in the lighter red, the faint red, is the RDA lot, 170 parking stalls. The area in yellow is the same area we had in the previous agreement with the hotel, and that's a hotel property. We, however, shifted where the other sections of parking would be that are hotel-owned will be part of this joint access agreement, and that is the area in green. That is shifted from what had been in the red area. The green area is where we have more demand and usage of shared parking than the area that is in red. The red really is hotel-only related. And so we felt it was appropriate to make this shift, and it changed the agreement from the 130 stalls that were covered earlier that were hotel property to 118 stalls. And it does cover all 118 stalls this time rather than the past agreement. In the new agreement, what it basically says is that those parking spaces that are on the hotel property will be available for the 25th Street businesses and their customers from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m., 7 days a week. It covers all 110 stalls, and the agreement runs for 10 years. This also allows us to mutually agree to revisions in the future of the parking lot design or of how we manage the parking lot in terms of possible validations or fee collections to cover costs that take place on the parking lot. One other little sidebar is it removes from the past agreement the little clause that said city employees could be part of that parking scheme, because back when it was first created, the city, our offices were there, the planning and redevelopment were on 25th Street. And so we're not there anymore, so we don't need any parking stalls. The other changes talk about maintenance. The hotel is responsible for maintaining the parking lot, cleaning it, maintaining the landscaping, irrigating it, the lights and the striping and garbage removal of the debris that may be in that area. The city or RDA is responsible for snow removal of the area in the agreement, and that's what the new revisions talk about. That is what is before you tonight for your consideration. I know we've talked about this last week in more detail, but do you have any questions of me?
Questions for Mr. Montgomery?
Chair Heyer, if I could just add one clarification. So he's addressed the shared parking easement
you're right.
agreement.
There's the other part.
There's a second agreement that addresses utilities.
Yes. And so the second part of the agreement is when the hotel was developed, the whole concept of that back area being shared, and the RDA was heavily involved in it, some of the design elements went across property lines without easements. So we had storm sewer lines that went onto their property. They had power lines that came on across our property. But because it all looked as one development at that point, there was no easements put into the place. We realize now that because the time has passed and things have changed, we also need to put in recorded easements for those utility lines, the storm sewer line of the city that crosses onto their lot, and the utility lines, the electrical lines that come from the city's lot and crosses on to get to their property, which are their power lines. So there's also a second part of this, and that's those easements for those utilities.
Who has the responsibility of those utilities?
Well, the city's part is their storm sewer line, and then the hotels is the power line. But this allows those utility lines to go across those properties.
Any other questions?
On the easement, if ownership of the hotel changes, does the easement change at all, or does that stay intact?
Runs with the property. So new owners accept the same.
All right, thank you.
If there's no further discussion, I'll go ahead and make a motion that we adopt proposed resolution 2014-15.
Second.
We have a motion by Vice Chair Guckner and seconded by Board Member Garner to adopt Resolution 2014-15. This is a roll call vote.
Board Member Garner.
Aye.
Board Member Stevens.
Aye.
Board Member White.
Aye.
Board Member Wicks.
Aye.
Vice Chair Gochner.
Aye.
Chair Heyer.
Aye, that passes. Next item is public comments. This is an opportunity to address the board regarding your concerns or ideas. Please state your name and address clearly for the record and limit your comments to 3 minutes. And seeing no one to even care, we'll go to the next item. It's just comments from the RDA Executive Director.
Yeah, Mark was just quick to point out, we think that's a record for 2 meetings, 17 minutes, so, no.
Been faster before. Close.
I have nothing at this time.
Board members?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion by Vice Chair Guckner, seconded by Board Member Garner to adjourn. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? As a reminder, there will be a City Council work session immediately following this meeting, and the items on discussion are on the agenda.